Hi, my name is Skip. I'm here for two reasons. Number one, I want to help you become a better leader, and number two, I want to help you help others. As I've mentioned earlier in passing, is that I am dyslexic. It's something it's just a part of me. It's something that I've learned to compensate and deal with, and also use to my advantage. And so I'm going to make a video series discussing dyslexia, discussing, and more specifically my dyslexia, the symptoms, the manifestations, how it personally manifests in me, and how I've learned to compensate for that, and how those compensators have actually turned out to be real advantages in my life. So I'm hoping that this will be instructional and kind of educational, but it'll also be interesting and kind of key in on what I do and how I do it and how I get by. So this first episode I want to discuss names and faces, and how this is a common issue that dyslexics have, is finding the specific name for something. And so this is kind of hard without being without having an example. So I'm going to use two examples. The first one is water bottles. So let's say I'm trying to think of the name of a water bottle, and I'm trying to ask someone to pass it to me. Might be like, I'd say, hey, can you pass me that thing? That thing could mean anything. So my friends don't understand, or whoever I'm with doesn't understand. It's like, oh, that thing, it's like this tall, it's silver, and we'll start describing the object. And if I just said water bottle, they would instantly be like, here, or can I have my water? They'd pass it. For whatever reason, because of my dyslexia, I have difficulty coming up with that specific name. So I'll end up talking around it. Now for objects, unless it was a life and death situation, I was like, pass me the AED, and I couldn't figure out how to say that, the defibrillator, other than that, it really doesn't hold me back in life. It's just kind of a weird thing, and some people are like, oh, okay. For little kids, it looks like they're stupid, and it looks like they don't understand what they're talking about. And with people who are severely dyslexic, sometimes it can hold them back because people are interacting with them, and they're like, why can't they come up? Why can't they say what they're trying to say? Why are they talking around everything? Well, it's just a symptom of dyslexia. So the other way this happens is that sometimes when I hear a word or a name, I cannot put it in context. So water bottle is a bad example for this. So I'm going to use someone's name. Someone might say, hey, the other day I was talking to Joe, and you know what Joe said? He said that you spoke up in class and it was really funny. Now, I'll be like, oh, cool, who's Joe? Like, Joe in your class. What class? So then my friend has to go and describe all these things about Joe until I finally get it, and it usually takes a long time for me to remember it. Like, Joe. Like, all right, I don't think I know a Joe. I don't think there's a Joe in my class. What's he look like? And I'll start going through these things, like, well, I don't know, Joe. He's like, it's Joe. It's Joe, Skip. Why can't you remember? Like, well, describe me his hair. What does he normally dress like? Is he taller than me? Where does he sit in the class? And these might not be things a person, like, I don't know, he has brown hair, I guess he's your height, and they'll just start describing him to me. And so my compensator, the way that I've compensated for this inability for me to remember names of people, is to come up with a list of items that I ask. So I start with hair color, because that's a pretty good identifier of people. Then I'll go with height, because that's a pretty good identifier for people. And I'll start asking specific things and trying to figure out who this person is. Because in my brain, I know who Joe is. I might even be friends with Joe. I might hang out with Joe. But for some reason, because of my dyslexia, I'm unable to recall it. So I go through this list of things. On the flip side, in order to have this list of things, in order to have these things, so someone will say one item of information that I can connect with Joe, so it triggers the image of Joe in my head and I know who Joe is, I'm very outgoing. And this is really the compensator, which is a common thing with dyslexics, is that they're good talkers and they're very outgoing. So I go well out of my way to connect with people and try and come up and dig up facts about them. Be like, hey, where are you from? What kind of music do you listen to? What do you like to do for fun? What's your favorite color? So that I can remember these things about them. So when I can't remember them, hopefully I'll remember something about them. So as I said, I'm dyslexic, and I have trouble remembering people's names sometimes, and I have trouble naming objects and things. Anyway, my name is Skip. I'm dyslexic. Thanks for watching. Go live the wheel.